All right, we want to move on to the area of math. I've showed you a number of things that you can use in general for organization and for getting things displayed on the wall for your students. But now let's move into the area of math. This has been a great product that a lot of people are not aware of. We have people find them and call us and say, what are these things? These are called Instagraphs, and you can look here, I have quite a number of them lined up. It's because they're all different. You'll notice some are a little bit larger, some are a little bit smaller. And what you're gonna see here, this is grid paper. This has a graph on it, the XY axis. Here's one that has the taller XY axis with fewer negatives on the bottom. You'll see a smaller grid paper. Now, these are a little bit larger square, but a smaller paper. We even have this one, which is a 100 number chart. And here is one that has a multiplication table on it. And you may be looking at these going, yeah, that's not a big deal. What makes them special? Well, here's what makes them special. These have adhesive on the back of them. They call it just like a triple tack. It's very similar to like what you might find on a Post-it note. But it's not just at the top. So when you peel these off, you have adhesive on both sides, and I can take this and I can stick it flat on my students' paper. The edges are gonna stay down, and they now have a grid that they can work on. If I have a multiplication table, and these come in pads of them. So when I have a pad, this is 50 sheets. I now have 50 of them that I can put in different places so my child can work on their multiplication or work on the grid that they need to plot something for a specific homework assignment. How many times have you gotten ready to do a homework assignment, and when you did it, it said, copy this graph onto your own paper. Well, that's not exactly easy to do. So now I can just peel this off, I can stick it onto my child's paper, and they can do the problem themselves. It's right there without copying it. These are great. And like I said, you have the XY axis, you have the ones with more negative, you have them equal XY axis, and then you have the one that is more, has fewer negative spaces. You can do a variety of things, and they're super affordable. If you're working with a co-op, super for doing those math problems, and each child can have one. They stick it right inside their book. Now, this is one tool to help you do math. Here's a tool to help you understand math. And some of you are probably already familiar with these. This is the Circumference Series. Textbooks teach you how to do math. They try to teach you why you do it. But these are stories that help you understand the concept that you're looking at or that you're learning about. You don't just do math, you read about math. Now, this is Circumference and the Dragon of Pi. Can you guess what the book is about? Exactly, it's about pi. You see, when you start reading this book, it's a story about Circumference and his son, Radius. Some of these terms should sound familiar to the adults, but to a child they may not make sense. So we have a story here about Circumference, and you have Lady Di of Amateur and Radius, and this, you follow them through their math adventure. In this one you're going to meet a fire-breathing dragon, and in this one, besides, in this one you learn about pi as well. In this one you learn about he's back in this one again, and you meet Sir Vertex, and you seek the sword in the cone, and you'll learn about all types of shapes and the mathematical twos test. Your kids will know more about math from reading these books than they'll ever learn in a textbook, especially if they like to be read to. This is Circumference and the Vikings map. This talks about using an XY axis. Oh my, you could use these as well. The adventures go on and on through all of the books. This one is about angles. This one, all the king's tens. We're going to learn about tens. And this one, this is the Isle of Imiter. So we're going to learn about diameter and we're going to learn about radius. And you're going to work on the circular mystery. So don't just do math. Read about it, understand it, get it in a really fun way that you might not get from your textbook. Helps you understand because it's putting math into a written context instead of just being presented as, here are some facts, you need to learn them. Let me give you an example here. This is circumference in the first round table. This is called a math adventure. And when his knights all get together, they sit at such a long table that everyone has to shout to be heard. Can Circumference and Lady Di of Amateur measure up to the challenge of building a better table? I bet you always wondered where the round table came from. So explore the castle, watch a tournament, and ride along with Circumference as he searches for the shape of the future. Noisy knights, a clever carpenter, and a juggling jester all add up to fun. You probably know how this story ends. Now the last math thing I want to tell you about, super inexpensive. These have been around for a long time and you're probably saying, oh, dice. You know, dice used to be 1 through 6. That's it. Dice is a lot more than 1 through 6 now. I have a variety of dice here that I want to show you. And these are money dice. You can play games with them. You have a 1 cent, a 5 cent, a 10 cent, a 25 cent, a 50 cent. You can let the child throw them, add up what comes up on the dice. Build money, counting, and exchange skills, and create games. So here is where your imagination gets to come into practice as well. It's not just throwing dice, it's learning through using dice. Nice size so littler hands can get a hold of them. This is a parts of speech dice. I know that doesn't fit into the math area, but it kind of gives you an idea that dice, it's not just numbers. Here we have a multiplication set. This one has numbers, but it also has signs. You have the multiplication sign, you have the equal sign, and you have a larger die over here that you're able to throw, and it has larger numbers on it. So you can do multiplication problems and help kids understand. It's a lot more fun than doing it in a book. This is place value die. How many times do we get a phone call here? My child is having difficulty with place value or tens or decimals. This is a simple little dice game that can help you with that. These are giant number dice. These actually have dice or have dots on them and the numbers. You can get them in a set 1 through 6. You can get them in a set 7 through 12, and they're larger. So again, those little hands can get a hold of them as they learn their numbers. These are, and I had these brought in for a reason. This is something you don't find in a lot of curriculum. They don't teach it anymore, and I'm not sure why, but Roman numerals. You want to teach Roman numerals to your child? This is kind of a helpful little tool. Maybe you do have a short section in your curriculum that does Roman numerals, but for some reason, not a lot of practice. Get the die. It's just a fun way to reinforce what you're learning in your math. Here we have, this is the sign of money. This actually shows you sign language for the different money amounts that are on the dice. So you can kind of combine the two together. And these are the numbers in Spanish. So if you have a child who's doing Spanish or they're little and you want them to learn how to count in Spanish, they have the numbers on here in Spanish. This one again is just another variety of the dice. So these are an inexpensive tool that you can add to any curriculum. It's not going to cost you a fortune, and your kids will like it. We move on to the area of science now, and I only have one thing that I want to show you today. We have a lot of really neat science things, but this is the one that I want to show you. It's new this year. They are playing cards. We have them for astronomy, we have them for the periodic table, and we have them for the human skeleton. What you'll get with these, yes, they're marked so that they look like regular playing cards. You have the ace, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and king, and you even have a joker. But instead of the more traditional pictures that you might get, you'll find things like, here is an anterior view of a skeleton, a human skeleton. Here's a posterior view. Here you'll find the frontal bone, and you'll see the graphics are amazing. These would not just be a game that you could play, and you could play any game you wanted. You could do Go Fish with your littler ones. You could play Speed with them. You could play any number of games that you might traditionally play with regular playing cards. But in this case, in doing so, you're looking at pictures of actual human bones, or with the periodic table, and we get a lot of phone calls asking for periodic table flashcards. These include cards, each card, again, numbered just like a regular deck, but you'll have an element from the periodic table, you'll have their number, you'll have their atomic weight, you'll have a little bit of information on here. It'll tell you the name of it, and it'll tell you how it's used. And they do this for all of the elements. This is actually a 2-deck set. So if you're looking for something to help you review the periodic table of elements and the parts of it, or even the bones that are in your body and the parts of your body, these decks, not just fun, but it gives you an opportunity to review for a test. It might also help you when you're getting ready to introduce a topic with astronomy, maybe some vocabulary terms that you can introduce your student to them before you actually start studying about it. So good review, good test prep, but good introduction of concepts depending on the topic that you're studying. But a nice, again, nice inexpensive addition to any of your curriculum. Another item, and I want to move from science into geography. We get phone calls constantly for state study types of products. Now, we don't carry a lot of things that are going to do state study, but this is called My State Book. So you can tell, intended for younger children, which tends to be where we don't have as many things. It doesn't give you the information for your particular state, but it gives you a place to write your name in the front, and it tells you what you'll include in your own book. You're going to create your own book. State facts, places in my state, my government, people in my state, events in my state, the flora and fauna of my state, which just means the wildlife and the flowers that I'll find in my state, industry in my state and me, and just for fun. What you'll find are blank pages that are formatted that you can go and find the information. Maybe you have a book there, maybe you have a reading series that's specific to your state. And now you have a place to record that information and make your very own book. This one, they have a place for you to list your state facts, your name, your state capital, the largest city by population. And over here, you get to trace or draw a map of your state. And if you look in the back of the book, there are a couple of references. They have a map of the United States, so you can kind of look and see where your state is in location. We're in Illinois. And in reference to the other states around, you can kind of see, get a general idea of what your state is shaped like. And here are some ideas for you, Mom, to do some extension activities with this book. So you don't have to just fill out a book. It can be a lot of fun. Here, my favorite places to go in my state. This is going to vary by student to student. And someday when they're a little bit older, you can pull this out and say, you made this when you were in 2nd grade. And you can see how they've changed. Just a lot of fun to do. But inexpensive, great extender for your state study, a nice way to record it, and something that the child can have for years to come. Well, so that's my only suggestion for you here, my only terrific teaching tool for geography or history. But I have some things that I want to show you that can be used in history or science. These are called tubes. Now you'll notice one is smaller than the other. This is a regular tube, and this is called a megatube. Megatube just has more in it. These come from Safari Company, and you're probably more familiar with some of their farm animals or their dinosaurs or things like that. But tubes have smaller characters in them, smaller figures. This one is for ancient Egypt. I could add this for my kinesthetic learner to my study of ancient times. These come in a number of different countries. And then this one, you can also use them for your science curriculum, especially if you have littler ones and they have and they do tend to be more kinesthetic. This one is Aquatic Adventures. This one has all kinds of water animals in it. You'll see mammals over on this side. You have dolphins, and you even have a scuba diver in this set to round it out. Over here you have other animals. There's your sea star, and you have some fish and octopus. You have well, I'm not sure what that one is. And over here you have a turtle and frog, but things that might live around the water. So this is your Aquatic Adventures. These come in a variety of different topics, different animals. You can get them with just sea animals like this one. You can get land animals. You can get fossils, which is probably one of my favorite ones. And then for the history ones, quite a variety for the different areas that you might be studying as well. So these are just a nice touch for your kinesthetic learner that the book maybe doesn't give them all the information they need, and they want to be able to get their hands on it and kind of play with them a little bit as you talk to them about some of these different people or places or things that they're learning about. Another one that you may have heard of, and you may actually use these. These to me are probably one of the ultimate inexpensive teaching tools that you could ever have. These are the Dover books. Dover books have been around for years and years and years, and I know a lot of parents use these to supplement their curriculum. They're not just coloring books. That was one of the first things that ever struck me about these. I used to use these in my classroom. But this is the Birds of Prey. I could use this in my science class. It's not just a picture to color, it has information. So these aren't just a fun thing to do. They teach the child something. And you have a variety of these as well in the area of history and science. This one just happens to be Birds of Prey. These are my favorites. I know these are very good and the information is very good, but these are my favorites. These are the stained glass coloring books. This one happens to be aquarium fish, and what you'll see are these pages that are more of an onion skin type page. And if you were to hold it up to the light, you can see through it. The child colors on it with markers or colored pencils or crayons. Each one gives a different effect. When they're all finished, you can take it out of the book, hang it up on the wall, but hang it up in your window so that you get those beautiful colors as they come through. These are available for science and history topics. Not just that, they're available for art. One of my favorites was always the Tiffany glass books. In the Tiffany glass books, you have actual stained glass reproductions of Tiffany glass lamps and designs, and in the back of those books it shows you what they look like in real life, so you know how to color them. So those are some of my favorites. Dover does more than just coloring books in the two different varieties. This is something else that Dover does. You can use these for art. These happen to be painting postcards. These are the Dali ones. You can get these for Cassatt and for Rembrandt and for a lot of the different famous artists. And what you'll get are postcard size prints of their famous paintings. Not just that, it gives you some information about them. So if I were to look in here and then flip it over on the back, I'm going to see that it tells me the name of that painting, when Mr. Dali painted that painting, when he lived, the title of that painting. It just gives me a little bit of background on that particular picture. And like I said, these are available for a lot of different artists. You want something inexpensive as you talk to your kids about art appreciation and art history. These are amazing, and the prints are beautiful, well done, different products that those particular artists have done. So art postcards. Another thing that Dover does, this is called a sticker book. It's Build a Skeleton sticker book. Now this is the larger one. They also have these in a smaller format. only about this big. But you'll see here, I have the outline of a skeleton. They're labeled. Here are my ribs, my sternum, my skull. This is done with a glossy finish. And then what I get with that is a sheet of stickers. So for a child who's learning the bones of the body, I can peel these off and stick them on. I can take them off and stick them back on here. I can reuse them over and over. This you'll notice, and so you can use it to kind of just help them learn the bones. This is just one of them. You can get sticker books in a variety of topics, but again, inexpensive resources to help you out in the area of science. They're also available for history in the smaller format as well. This is a large format. This is one other thing that Dover does that I know a lot of parents have already discovered these. These are the paper dolls. These come in large and small format, and this one just happens to be debutante gowns of the 1800s paper dolls. And you'll see, just like old-fashioned paper dolls, you cut out the dresses, they have the tabs, and in the front you have the actual paper doll that you're going to need to cut out. And then you have all of the gowns that go with them. These are done on a thicker paper, almost like a thin cardstock, so that they'll last a little bit longer for you. So if you're looking for an inexpensive add-on to learn about maybe cultural things from different time periods, the Dover Paper Doll series is very good. And again, they come in the smaller format. Just a good addition and a good, terrific teaching tool. Like I said, been around for a long time, and a lot of you probably already use them. But I think if you've not used them, please check them out because you'd be very pleased with them. I want to wrap this all up with one last product that you can use with any of your subjects. These are placemats. Placemats aren't just for mealtime anymore. They're not just to eat on. These placemats are to help give your kids a variety of information and just have it out there where they can see it. You can use it with math, science, history, geography, foreign language, phonics, handwriting. You can eat off of them, which is really nice because they are laminated, they're covered, but there's information, so your child, it's right in front of them the whole time. They're durable, they're easy to clean, and on one side, I want to show these to you, you'll see this one shows a child how to do a proper place setting, something we don't see a lot of anymore. But if I flip it over, this is dry erase, so the child can actually practice. They can look at how it's done on one side. They could color in the other side. They could even use real silverware and plates and dishes to lay it on top of the diagram on the other side. These are also can be used for phonics. This placemat has the phonics, A-E-I-O-U, short vowel sounds, long vowel sounds, ending digraphs, ending blends, beginning digraphs, beginning blends. But if you flip it over, there are wipe-off activities that the child can do. You're going to find this on the back of every one of the placemats. You're going to find some kind of a wipe-off activity, which is great. So get those dry erase markers out. They can practice what they see on the other side. Okay, so we have phonics, we have etiquette, we have geography, maps. This one just happens to be of Africa, but they come for all of the different continents. Flip it over, I have a blank one. I can practice labeling it. I can put the countries. I can put in the rivers. I can put in mountain ranges. All of it's on this side. Label it on this side. Best of all, if I want to use it for a map and I have limited space, I can just pop it up on the wall. I've got it right in front of me. It has a non-glare surface, makes it a little bit easier for eyes to see, especially when you've got fluorescent lights in your room. So it doesn't take up a lot of wall space. I'm still getting the information in a little bit smaller format. We have painless addition, painless division, we have painless subtraction. Best part, once again, this presents the tables 1 through 12. I flip it over. I have practice on the other side. The same thing with division. I have flags of the different countries. Use it for your art class. Famous artists. There's also one for famous composers. So a nice supplement to any kind of class that you're doing. Here we have a lot of little people favorites. Horses. Don't you love horses? This just shows you beautiful pictures or photos of the different types of horses and labels them. You could use this with the beautiful feet history of horses literature study. And on the back they have black and white pictures, and it says fill in the correct name under each horse. So kind of quiz yourself. See if you're remembering what those horses are called. And then you have and this is your composers over here. Here we have shapes, fractions, and practice on the back. We also have the human body, and then you have the metric system with a lot of practice on the back of it for older kids who just need some additional practice with the metric system. So placemats can be used for posters. They're not just for eating anymore. And like I said, easy to wipe off. You do the dry erase markers on the back, wipe them off, and you can use them over again for practice. Well, I just want to thank all of you for sharing your ideas with us here at Rainbow. We get emails full of great ideas. We get phone calls, and parents will be ordering something and they'll say, oh, here's how I'm going to use this. And a lot of those are the ideas that we share with you. So we hope that some of our ideas and products will be helpful to you as well. And have a wonderful school year.